Hey everybody, welcome back. We are getting ready to watch some more Dark, react to some more Dark. I just uploaded episode 6. I believe I've got 7 left, and so I think we're on 8. I think that's where we're at. Netflix is trying to figure out who I am. It's lagging big time. We'll see how it plays. I may have to restart. Okay, we're on season 1, episode 8. This one is called As You Sow, So Shall You Reap. Didn't they have, I watched a show recently, maybe it was Breaking Bad, where the title was You Reap What You Sow, which is a play on those words. I'm guessing it's the same metaphor. Yeah, English is not my best subject, but even reading it as you sow, so shall you reap, I think is the same exact meaning as you reap what you sow. So something's coming back to somebody. And we've got all these people that are involved one way or another. I wonder if the reap what you sow is applying to Mad's father, Urich's father, and Peter, and the bearded guy. But it could, because of the whole basement stuff, ground cellar. But the other thing it could apply to is Jonas did go back to the 80s and he saw Mikkel and Hannah as kids, and he started to interfere, but then the bearded guy was like, if you interfere and bring Mikkel back, you won't be born. So, you know, Jonas, if I remember correctly, it's been at least 2 weeks, if not longer. Plus, a lot has happened since I last watched this. I had to put my cat down. I ended up with COVID. I had a cat bite. Actually, I think I've recorded right after all of that started, but yeah, I'm still testing positive for COVID all this time later. Excuse me, it's been, let's see, the the first day I tested positive, I had symptoms starting the 26th, and then I tested positive the 28th of February. So it's been 2 weeks now. I'm still popping positive for COVID. Doc said I can go about my usual routine as long as I mask up. So went and got my groceries today. Went and put some horseshoe magnets out for the acrylic pouring stuff. But other than that, I've been staying home. I think I have a sinus infection because it's also here in North Carolina, although I think it's the same everywhere, but we joke about it in North Carolina in the mountains all the time that just wait 15 minutes if you don't like the weather, it'll change. Uh, so we've had warm weather, we've had freezing weather, we've had warm weather, we've had freezing weather. There are daffodils blooming at Dad's house. One of their roses is blooming. His willow weeping cherry is blooming. There is pollen collecting on the cars. It's pollen season. But we're supposed to get a winter weather advisory tonight. We've got up to an inch of snow and a tenth of an inch of ice or something like that. Ice and snow tonight and sleet. So, although I went everywhere without my coat today, tonight the temperature's dropping quickly. So it's got, long story short, it's got me all congested, and I think I've got a sinus infection now because my nose keeps running or clogged, one of the two. And I could win, no doubt about it, I could win the World Championship loogie spitting contests. So, yeah, a lot of snottiness. So at any rate, it's been a couple of 2 weeks. I've deep cleaned the room that Sweet Pea was in. He was back in that room anyhow because he peed everywhere. But then, of course, with renal failure, that's one of the things that they do is pee and poop everywhere. So I deep cleaned that room and then put the little boy, Fang's brother, back in there because he pees on the couch downstairs and I like having the door open. So he's back in there, and so is Smokey. Smokey is now joined Ryder because she targets Fangs. So they're getting a cat tree. The room has been cleaned. I've mopped the subflooring twice. I vacuumed, I rearranged. Yeah. So washed put the cat toys through the washer. So yeah, on the sanitized cycle. Uh, back to dark. So Jonas deciding to go back home, back to his own time period, might be another you reap what you sow. It could be a reference to Noah. We don't know a lot about Noah. We know we've seen Noah as the same age in both the present and in the past, and he apparently is going back and forth willy nilly. I haven't figured out who Bearded Guy is. I think he's one of these players, but I don't know who. I don't think it's Michael because Michael killed himself unless he made a copy of himself. And mirroring is a whole thing to this, and physics is a part of this. I did figure out the episode 6. I was like, what's the signal? What's the signal? The signal was the radiation path. Of course, being back in the 80s, the radiation was stronger because of Chernobyl. And so the Geiger counter was the signal. Follow the signal. And I also was saying, why is Regina antagonizing Katerina? And I've watched reactions from Blind Wave up to season 6, I think. I don't think I've watched their season 7. I have seen 7 already, as you guys know. I can't remember if I watched their 7 because I wasn't sure how far I had recorded. But, they talked about, I can't remember if Blind Wave talked about it or if their commenters commented about Regina was acting that way because of the trauma that Oric and Katerina put her through as a kid. And then, of course, I noted the stress on top of finding out she has breast cancer. So, unhealed wounds. Katerina has confronted Oric about his cheating. He's lied about it, but she's got confirmation about it. I think she confronted Hannah directly, didn't she? I can't remember for sure, but I'm thinking she has. Kids, teenagers are having sex. There's drug dealing going on. Those are all kind of sub stories, subplots. I still have lots of questions. We saw them dragging Eric, but we don't know where Eric has ended up. So maybe we'll get that in this episode. We don't know where Yasin is yet, and we don't know who the guy is that is doing this to the kids, the machine contraption thing. He has the same raincoat as Bearded Guy, so I'm leaning towards him, but it seems to be a popular style because I think Oric has the same raincoat type of thing too. So I'm not sure if it is the Bearded Guy. That's just my only clue so far. And they found the wallpaper to the room that Yasin is being held in the room that Eric and Yasin are in. They found a piece of that wallpaper in the ground cellar. That doesn't sound right all of a sudden. But at any rate, I've got my orange salad to eat. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. I've been rambling for quite a bit now. Uh, 12 minutes. We're going to edit that. Probably still can't get it down enough though. So let's go ahead and get started, see what's going to happen, and go from there. Hell is empty and all the devils are here. That's their second William Shakespeare quote, isn't it? Oh, you guys know I'm not good at recognizing people. Is this nice trouser pants? Trouser, trouser? Kind of looks like yes, and I think it's the 80s.
Some workers found these two bodies this morning.
Not him, but the other guy reminds me of Spade's character in Blacklist. And then this looks very German uniform, which it is a German show, but it very it's cut like the uniforms we don't mention. It's a wool coat though. Well, there's Eric. Eric, and I don't know who the other one is. Oh, we're back in the 80s. So I don't know if that's Eric, if it's back in the 80s, unless they took him back into the 80s.
To pass through it is to travel through time.
So they've got a real life version of that theory. What is Eric doing? Oh, is he going to find the door by accident? Those lighters get hot when you leave them running like that. Oh, it's the serpent eating the tail. It's going to blow out his light. And I just realized that Jonas used, it must not be electric based, like battery electric based, because you swiped your hand to turn it on and off. But he used that, which didn't blow out, whereas the lighters will.
You mean the Trinity knot? Nothing can truly be complete without the third dimension.
And the Trinity knot stands for eternity.
Going down. It serves to connect the past, present, and future.
So is Oric getting ready to go to the future? Well, the lighter isn't lit. That's good. He's relit it. And I just realized I need to increase the sound a bit, because even though the music and stuff is loud enough, the voices aren't. And even with my work headphones on, I can't hear I can hear me, but I can't hear the show. So I know some of you are going to get aggravated by that, but so just turned it up. Hopefully that's better. Now Jonas went to the right. So if he goes to the left, does he go to the future? He chose left.
I was at the construction site. They found some.
Off with them.
So a very strict household.
There were 2 dead bodies in a pile of sand.
Just what are you talking about?
And they look like kids.
What?
He's going to go find out what it's all about.
Those were around their necks. Both
The red
coins are
string.
dated the year 1986.
So are these supposed to be a joke?
There's something even stranger. Take a look. The tag that's on his collar.
Oh, so this is like 50s, which makes sense with the mother's outfit.
I've seen all kinds of tattoo designs before, but this one wins my prize for weird.
My Pretty Pony? Is he a brony? So, is the show where we started the future? The 80s is the present, And then now Auric has gone to the past, the 50s. It looks fairly new. So he's at the cabin, pretending to be police. Grenades.
You write about Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence. A universe that expands
53.
and then collapses again. It's also the age at which the Antichrist's rule began.
Is Noah the Antichrist?
Let's check what he has in his pockets.
Leave me alone.
Scream.
Now, whoever's
No,
dubbing the voice of that guy, it doesn't match.
Don't piss your pants. Your dad's got so much dough, he shits money.
Is he peeing on him? Ugh. Is that the bearded guy?
Let's go.
Oh, it's Auric.
So next time you bite them really hard.
Is that possibly Auric's dad?
Imagine this. You are standing in an infinitely large dark room, and you're shining a light to the left. That light should then continue in that direction indefinitely. There's no reason to make the assumption that light beam could come back at you from the right, but a wormhole, it can alter the topology of space-time. It bends it. Nothing is where it belongs anymore.
The background music that reminds me of one of the songs on my breakdance tape. Is it Tour de France? I can't remember which song. I'll have to research it.
Good day. Could you please help me?
I know I've been yelling.
My name's Agnes Nielsen.
That's
And
his.
this is my son Tronti. We're new in Winden.
That's his grandmother and father.
Tronti?
And we saw Agnes Nielsen on the tree thing
Hello.
that I saw in the thumbnail.
Imagine traveling back in time and meeting your own father, long before you existed.
Excuse this question,
What year is it?
but just what year is it? This HD10 house?
Oh. So this is how he gets the idea for
It's
the
1953.
concept, by meeting a person from the future.
Stalin is
I told you to be on time. It's important. Claudia, I forgot the money to pay you at home. I promise I'll bring it later.
Well, and he smells like pee. So is it a boarding house?
Well,
Or
let me
started
show you
off
the
as a
rooms
boarding
upstairs.
house? Maybe Regina's grandmother and mother?
Dead bodies at Doppler's construction site. 2 dead boys. They were abducted by aliens and dumped there.
What did you just say to him?
Yeah, I was going to say
Are
it's
they
going to
aliens?
scare her to death. Left his coat, which is going to say made in China, right? Made somewhere outside of Germany.
The discovery of uranium fission.
And there was a time that they were
And
encouraging
now is the
nuclear
time.
energy
By utilizing the power of
all
neutron-induced
across the
fission,
world. I was
atom
trying to think of which president it was for
can change
us.
the world.
Carter?
And we are proud here.
The question is going to
Only
be,
when it
is
changed.
Auric
Nuclear energy
going to tell the police that he knows who the boys are?
to the entire nation. But that
And then
means
is he going to
change.
tell them
The old
how
must
he
give way
knows
to
who the
new.
boys are?
Most folks hate that.
They're headed towards the cave.
These are our caves. We're not allowed to go very far, but sometimes we do anyway.
When she said
And you
these are
still
our
owe me that
caves, her
money.
family's cave on her family's property.
Come on, let's go.
Well, the dog can't open the doors. Wonder if he's got a little bit of sociopath in him since he
Gretchen, come.
threw the stick for the dog.
The other a bit taller with bright red hair.
So there's no third one?
No.
Bright red
Have you
hair,
reported
Eric.
your son is missing to the police yet?
We're going to find out how the nuclear plant is connected.
Why is it time has you so fascinated?
And we, slaves to the laws of nature, are nothing but victims of time and space.
Robots.
Hello.
I love her dress.
Your
I think
wife
it's
has
a
told me
dress. The red one.
very nice.
As long as a wormhole exists, there will be closed time loops, which means that inside of it, everything's mutually dependent. Which correlates with the past, not just influencing the future.
So
Yes,
there's
the
only a
future
certain
also
amount of time they can
influences
go
the
back and
past.
forth.
It's like the question of the chicken or the egg.
But it still went
You
over
can no
my
longer
head.
really say which of them was first.
It's a nice house. The birds with the white speckles.
Did you find that man you're looking for?
Now that's Peter's father, right?
They're beautiful when they're dead.
I don't know if I'd describe them that way.
But I can change that. You see, I can
Is he
change
going to
the
try to
past.
kill him?
And what's to come?
Let me go!
Hmm.
If you don't exist, then none of this will happen.
So they're playing with the question about if you could go back in time and kill baby Hitler, would you? So that's not Peter's father. That's... No, they didn't call him Peter, though, did they? Now I'll have to listen for names again. Oh, he did it.
Did Helga bring her home?
Certainly not.
Helga. Okay. Helga Doppler is the fella that works at the nuclear plant that had the drugs hidden in the little thing in a black thing that looked like a head when they pulled it out. So Oric was still thinking that he was behind it all. And I can't remember who all he's connected to in the future. Was it 2019 that where we started out at? 2019, 1986, 1953. I think those are the years. So I can't remember the connections. So I don't know what Oric has now changed. And there's going to be change because that murder is different from the other two murders, which were more bizarre and weird and not understood, whereas a rock to the head will be figured out. They didn't have DNA testing back in that time, so they won't link it to Oric's family. They won't have his fingerprints on file. I can't remember when they started using fingerprints a lot. It's just a strange man who showed up that a few folks have had interactions with. We'll have to see what's changed. Going to find his box of birds. So what you going to do now, Oric? Just leave them there? Are we hinting at the women hooking up? Now the dog can't open the doors, so I expect the dog to come back home. Burns himself. They look bigger than cigarettes. Cigars?
All of our lives are somehow connected.
That's who
One
the
fate
officer was.
inextricably bound to another. Everything is connected to everything else.
I remember seeing her picture, but now I can't remember which group of women she was lined up with.
I come from the future.
Gotta show and prove.
I traveled through the wormhole to arrive here in 1986.
That was the box we saw him working on.
Leave here. Leave here. Now.
He knows the danger. The problem is it's too late.
Things have to be set right, and you have to help me.
Is he talking about Unger? Is he grabbing the box? Yep. Oh, he left it behind? I thought he packed it back up again. He's gonna notice something. Ah, cell phone. There's no service. Should still turn on though. Better get out of there, Oric. End of the show. Boom, 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 boom. So, are we going to find out the answer to one, what Bearded Guy was asking, which is, do we have free will? Can we change our futures? Or is there a master plan, like God or something like that? Or fate, if there's not a higher power, just a master plan as far as life itself? We're also going to get the answer of what would happen if you went back and killed baby Hitler. So now we know why it's called Dark, right? And they've got 2 more seasons. So we've got 2 episodes of this season left, 9 and 10. She hates it when I lean forward. See how fast she stands back up. We know why it's called Dark. We're going to get some more answers in the next 2 episodes. Eric is the one. I think Yasin is the other. Yasin had brown hair, brown eyes. They're 2 different ages, though. And I'm surprised that Oric didn't catch on to the fact that he said redhead. And they had a redhead missing who disappeared before Yasin. So why didn't Oric? I mean, he had tunnel vision, I know. But I would think if I were in the moment and the guy said, brown hair, brown eyes, and redhead, I would have thought, okay, not my son, but it's the other 2 boys. So, not sure what's going to happen. Is Oric going back to the future and we see what all's changed? Or does Bearded Guy go back to the future and we see what all has changed? We didn't deal with any of the kids, the main kids that we've been following this episode. So, yeah, interesting. And now we know why it's called Dark. Or at least I'm assuming that's why. The scientific stuff, some of it I can catch on to, and most of it goes over my head. So it's going to be one of those shows where I'm just going to have to go with the flow. I don't know all these theoretical models that they are talking about. The Ergman, whatever, which the cave is supposed to be. I've never heard of that model, that theory before. So I'm sure it's probably a real theory in quantum physics or something like that. But yeah, that's where we're at. So thank you all for joining me on this one. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.